Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial how to make sewing easy for you. Recently I've been asked how can I make a button front for a shirt, for a dress, and there's actually different ways of doing it. That's why in this first video today I will show you how it really is quite easy how to do this. Probably next week I will do you another tutorial on a different way how to do it. But why don't we just get started on one of the questions that one of you asked me about. Here we go. So let me explain to you first of all, what do you need to make your button band or your front band on your shirt, on your polo shirt, on a dress, wherever you need it. This is a finished one already, I like to show to you. That's the right side, the proper side, that's the left side. I did make it on purpose out of different material, and I've chosen an extreme different color so you can really follow my sewing as well. Now, as you can see already on here, what this piece looks like. So what do you need? First of all, you need the front of your shirt, where you would like to work this front band with a button for the buttonholes in. Let's say this is the right side of your material, this is the left side of your material. First of all, mark the lengths right in that position where you would like to put your front band or your button band. I decided I would like to have it 16 centimeters long, the opening. That's why I marked right in the middle here this piece on the left side of the material, as I said, and I marked the lengths as well. The further on, you need 2 stripes of your main material. You must make the decision how wide do you want the finished front band to be. I've decided I'm making mine 3 centimeters wide to be finished. Therefore, I also need a pattern to use from a strong paper material. And if it's supposed to be 3 centimeters wide, what you have to do is, for your 2 stripes that you need to cut, you need to cut them 8 centimeters wide. That means if I'm 3 centimeters my finished width, plus 1 centimeter my seam, and doubled over gives me my 8 centimeters that I need. So let's say you want this smaller, you have to double your smaller piece plus your 2 centimeters, I mean on each side 1 centimeter seam as well. So that is up to you, but this is a normal 3 centimeter one. So that's why it's got to be 8 centimeters wide. On half of this, where the buttonhole will be on the proper side, then I stuck with the iron an interfacing piece on, not on the full one. You can see this is much looser here, and this is nice to work with because it's really tight. Then you iron this in half, this piece on the length side, and you iron 1 centimeter already over. Exactly the same you do with your other piece. So that's how it will look finished. 1 centimeter over where the interfacing is on, and exactly earlier on ironed into half. So these are the 2 pieces you need. So I repeat, you need your main material. On the left side you will mark the lengths that you need, and these stripes at the moment are a little bit too long yet, but they should be approximately 3 centimeters longer than your actual opening will be. That means if I got 16 centimeters opening here, I'm going to cut this now on 19 centimeters, my length here, because that's approximately what I will need to stitch this correctly. And now I show you how you can stitch it. Take your material with the left side facing towards you, exactly where you marked the position and the length of your button band. Now take one of your prepared parts, this for your front, this button band, and you put the not ironed edge down. Now, I mentioned to you earlier on that this is going to be 3 centimeters when it's finished. Now what we have to do when we get to the sewing, this in-between space of these 2 parts that we're stitching on has to be exactly those 3 centimeters again, as later on both of our button bands are going to be. That means, as that's supposed to be the middle of my opening, I'm going to put this right away about 5 millimeters away from my drawing. As now, I will fold this open and do my normal 1 centimeter stitch down. As I mentioned before, I got an extra different color on there, so you can really see my stitching very well. Otherwise, if I got the same thread in, you hardly cannot see my stitching. That's why I'm doing this. So, 1 centimeter from this edge I'm stitching down, as I only added 1 centimeter of seam allowance, and here my 5 millimeters, which I need to get my full width of 3 centimeters later over here. Let's just go down that and now finish on the length where you said that's going to be your opening. Don't do any longer. And this last stitch is important. It's really got to be held on firm, so do a good back and forward stitching as you've just seen me do it. Turn this around, take your next piece and position it opposite of this one, again with a 1/2 centimeter distance here, because now when I take my pattern I will put it onto the seam, do my 1 centimeter seam there, and later on you can see this when I fold this over, I already got this 3 centimeters exactly here. Here I got the 3 centimeters, and when I lay this one over I got the 3 centimeters there as well. So that is exactly how I want it to be. Now make sure when you start here that this will be exactly a right angle. The more it is exact, the better you will be able to do this button nice and neatly. Again here, this last stitch is really got to be held very firm. Look underneath, put the pattern that you got facing directly or lying directly onto this first seam that you made, and now stitch it on all the way up. Make sure you will have a 1 centimeter seam there as well. That's the first lot you got to do. Like I said, you can check this already and you will see this will come like that. Now turn it over. The right side is facing you. Check on your ends. If you see that this, as an example, would be not the same length, if you don't have a right angle here, then put another stitch there to make sure this is all both right angles. Now we cut this open. To do this front button band is actually a little bit like making pockets, very, very similar. So I will cut this open now, going down right the middle. And now make sure to stop before you get to the end here, because now we will do a triangle cut right here, which is going to look like that. Important when you do cuttings like that, I just show this on here as an example. Let's say I want to do a cut in here exactly to that point. Never on something like that take your scissors like that, because easily you can snip and end somewhere else where you don't want to go to. Always do it like that, with one little cut. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. Now, important is to put this out of the way, because you only want to cut this top material. So I'm going there, and I'm right there in this corner. Do the same on this. If from your sewing some funny threads are there, push them on the sides to make sure that you see your seam, your thread where it's ending. Now, as I mentioned before, this was our left side of the material. This is the right side. So take your 2 parts that you stitched onto this and just pull them over. Now you can see already if this is going to be a lady's polo shirt or dress, you would be stitching it now this way, as that way you got to button it. If it would be a gents, all you would have to do is do this, and you got a gents. So the preparation is exactly the same, just that you have to lie this the way you need it. Alright, how do we continue? First of all, I will now stitch this part down here. I make this as a ladies, okay? So I will first of all stitch this down. That means I'm putting my right side out of the way. I'm going up here. Make sure to cover that seam up. Even if you have the correct colored thread on, it's still supposed to be covered. It's not supposed to be showing out. And stitch all the way down here. Now you can put all this, if you cut it correctly into this corner, you can put all this out of the way. You could stitch all the way down there, but that's not necessary. I just go across here anywhere. You don't need to stitch over that edge if you don't want to. That's a matter of opinion. If you look at some finished polo shirts that you can buy, sometimes both sides are stitched over, sometimes only one. And that's just for the look. I just do it. I go along here. That means that underneath one is totally finished, and when I turn it over it looks like that on the left side. Alright, we continue. Because now I first of all want to get rid of this little triangle there. So when the left button front is finished stitched by you, and you're looking from the proper side, and you see this right angle that you cut, we have to stitch this over now. That means pull this one everything to the proper side of yours. Now look underneath here. First we push this in there. That's the left side. Keep repeating where we are. This is our proper side. So put everything out of the way, and you see this little triangle here. Now we're going to stitch this onto there in a right angle. I repeat, that's your proper side. This is where the buttonholes will be. There goes the buttons. Put this out of the way, as we haven't stitched this over yet. And look at your triangle. If it's not there, go back to the left side and push it in. But I got it here in my hand, so I'm holding it. I turn it over, and you see it likes to go in different positions as nothing is held there yet. So again, make sure here you get it in a right angle. And stitch it from where your little cut-in was from the triangle cut to the other side. Alright, so now your left side looks already perfect, as you can see. So we continue on this side. Now as I want to cover this bottom one over with this slat, this one is way too much inside here. That means I have to cut something out in a moment. But first of all, I want to do my corner down here. On this one, I made it square, as I showed you in the beginning earlier on. Now on this one, we do different. On my pattern that I got for my widths, I already draw myself and cut myself a little pointed corner there. So take your overlapping button band, open it up like this, and fold it over into the groove that you ironed there. Put everything else out of the way. Put edge on edge here on these two button pieces, and now put your pattern on there and exactly stitch along your pattern. I must make sure it's really edge on edge over there, and you must make sure it's again in a right angle. There I have to pull a little bit back, and here I go. I could have pushed it a little bit farther up. With a relatively small stitch you should do that. That's what it looks like. Here I'm covered everything anyway. And now, important, you have to trim the sides a little bit off. Otherwise you will not be able to get it nicely pushed out in the corner. So now I push this inside out, and I first of all tidy this corner nicely. Again, always check what you've been doing to see if this looks correctly for you, if you like it like that. And now you can see, I told you before, this is going to be too long, so it doesn't matter. I will cut this shorter now. That means you gotta leave a little bit. Rather cut it twice if you're not sure where to cut along. You can always cut a little bit more than later on. So this looks quite good for me, I think. So now I start right here to sew down here all the way around. This is my ironed over edge. As I stitched both sides on here, I should do the same there. Otherwise it looks uneven. All the way into that corner, and actually there I stop for the time being. I tidy it right away, but I didn't go back and forth. You see in a moment why. Because now I want to stitch this over first. Again, for this next job, don't have it lying like that or like that. It's got to be again in a nice right angle, as if it's stitched down already. So look approximately where your triangle is, because that's more or less where you would like to go over now. I'm just gonna first of all cut all these little loops off that are hanging there, because afterwards it's always very difficult to get them out. So I like to do it first. So another one? No, that's all right. Of course you can also iron this for yourself if you wish. Okay, like I mentioned, I put this nicely on top of each other as if it's finished already. And I decide in which position I'm going to go over here. About there I want to do it. You can also, okay, we do it exactly from corner to corner. But that is also a little bit up to you from where you're starting. So there's my corner. Go back and forth with your sewing machine. Here's another funny little bit hanging out. I don't like that. So I push this in. And I stitch across. And as I didn't stitch back and forwards there, I just go 1 or 2 stitches up again. And I go into this corner. I stitch that one down. Here I push this a little bit more in. Now if you're using the exact thread for yourself on a white piece of white thread, of course, you will not see any stitching whatsoever. So now when I get into this corner, I leave my needle stuck in, and I fold all this out of the way, and now I stitch the rest. And here again, make sure you're covering your stitch that you got there, even if it's the same color thread you got on than the material is. It wouldn't look right if you don't do that. So I cut this little thread off. Even this you wouldn't see if it would be the same color. Now that is your finished button band button front. From the left side it will look something like that. That is held, although you could have, like I said to you earlier on, you could have also stitched over here and then do that. That is totally up to you, as long as you stitch that triangle down first. Then you can do that as well. Alright, now you should put the buttonholes in here. you should put the buttons on there, and then you should continue doing the shoulders, doing your collar, your sleeves, and so on. Now you can make your decision which way you like the most, if you want to do a right corner, a right angled corner, or if you like to have a little pointed one right there. That's all up to you, and I hope I could give you some good help for your next polo shirt or your blouse. Thanks for watching, and hope you come around again and give me some nice comments. Bye for now.